All right, the next thing that we're going to talk about is very, very similar to ratios, and it's called unit rates. And we're going to use the way we calculated ratios, we're going to use that a lot when we start solving unit rates in our next class. But the first thing we're going to do is talk about unit rates. And a unit rate is comparing two quantities where the units are included. We're talking about how two quantities, and quantity just means something you can count. So for example, two things we could count are you travel 140 kilometers in 2.5 hours. So there you're comparing two quantities. Again, you can count time and you can count distance, and you're seeing how they compare to each other. Now, to find a unit rate, this is key, is we divide one term by another. So we have one of our terms is 140 kilometers, and the other term is 2.5 hours. Now, the weird thing with unit rates is that there are always two unit rates. Now, when I say that, it's true, but usually one unit rate is a little more common than the other one. Not always, but most of the time. So for example, like I said, to find a unit rate, we take one term and divide it by another. So I'm going to take my 140 kilometers. Again, we have to include the units here because it's going to be important in the end. Then I divide by my 2.5 hours. All right, and so if I take those numbers and I divide them, 140 divided by 2.5, I get 56. Now with unit rates, we're going to have to include units. And so in this case, kilometers are on the top, hours are in the bottom. Now division actually, even though this is a fraction, which again is a divided by question, it's not done yet. In English, division means per. So this is kilometers per hour. So there is our first unit rate. Now this is a more common unit rate, but again, there's always two unit rates because when you are dividing one term by another, you're not saying which is divided by which. So I could take my 2.5 hours and divide it by the 140 kilometers. Now, in this case, I take those numbers, 2.5, and I divide it by 140, and I end up with 0.017. The units this time are hour, because you drop the plural, or hours, I should say, per kilometer. So those are both unit rates that describe this person traveling. Again, the first one is most common in our day and age, 56 kilometers per hour. But it wouldn't be wrong to say that, well, this person is traveling 0.017 hours per kilometer. So one is telling you how much distance they travel in 1 hour, and the other one is telling you how long it takes to travel 1 kilometer. So again, there's two different unit rates. It depends on which you divide by which. All right, so let's try another one here. Now, this is a common area in which unit rates are used. Which job pays more? All right, so again, when I'm looking at a unit rate, I'm taking one number and dividing it by the other. And so I'm going to take my $92 and divide it by 8 hours. All right, so I take my $92 on the top, 8 hours on the bottom. And now I'm going to divide those two. And let's see, I take 92 and I divide it by 8. I get $11, or $11.50, I should say, is the answer. But again, I need my units, and I've got dollars per hour. So I'm actually going to put this $sign in front. Again, division is per, and hours is in the bottom. Or in this case, because it's not plural. We knock the S off. So $11.50 per hour. Now, if I'm going to compare it to an B here, I have to find the same unit rate. So even though there is two different unit rates, if we're comparing, we got to find the same one. So we had dollars on the top. So I'm going to take my 73.50. All right, on the top, and I've got 6 hours on the bottom. All right, and so let's see here. I take my 73.50, I divide it by 6, and this time I'm getting 12.25. All right, and again, the units up top is dollars. Division is per. And we had hours. Whoops. Hours on the bottom. So who gets paid more? Job B makes more money per hour. Job B is our winner. Get paid a little bit more. All right, so but again, we took the same unit rate and compared them. Now here's a common use of unit rates. Which is the better deal? This is for all you Costco lovers out there. All right, so we got $1.25 for a 56-gram bag of potato chips, and then we got $3.49 for a 200-gram bag of chips. So again, I'm going to find the unit rate, compare, and so I'm going to take my dollars and divide it by my 56 grams there. So I got my unit rate. We got $1.25. And I divide it by my 56 grams. All right, and let's see here. We're going to get a decimal here. I take my $1.25 divided by 56, and I get, let's see here, 0.022 per gram. So I got 0.022. Again, my units here are dollars per, and this time per gram. All right, now I'm going to compare it to B. All right, so I'm going to take I got to find the same unit. So I got my money on the top here. So I got my 3.49 divided by my 200 grams. All right, now I get, let's see here, do the math. Take 3.49 divided by 200. I get 0.017. And again, my units here are dollars per gram. And so now I compare here. Well, this one is $0.002 per gram. And this one's $0.017 per gram. So in this case, B is the better deal. It's cheaper per gram. Now, I do want to show you something. Again, I've said that there is two unit rates. Well, what happens if I flip this and I went for grams per dollar? I put the grams on top. Whoops, get rid of the money. We're doing that on the bottom here. So this time I put my grams on the top, 56 grams. Will I get the same answer? And I divide it by $1.25. All right, so this time, let me see, I get my calculator out. I take my 56, divide it by the 1.25, and I get 44.8. And the units are grams per dollar. All right, so now I'm going to do my other unit rate. Again, I'm going to do the grams divided by the dollars. And I take my 200 grams. Whoops, got to get rid of that money symbol again. I get used to put money on the top there. 200 grams divided by my $3.49. And this time what I end up with is, let's see, 200 divided by 3.49. And my answer this time is 57.31 grams per dollar. And so which is the better deal? Well, in the first calculations, B was a better deal. I mean, it's the same deal, right? Well, what's the answer this time? Well, I look over, I get 44.8 grams per dollar, and I get 57.31 grams per dollar. Well, you want the more grams per dollar, so B is still the better deal, of course. The explanation is different. There you get more grams per dollar. And so depending on which unit rate you found, in the first one here, B is the better deal because it's cheaper per gram. The smaller number was the better deal. But yet, if we found the other unit rate, the larger number was the better deal because you got more grams per dollar. So again, it depends on which unit rate you find will tell you what your explanation is of why it's a better deal.